Nestled in the heart of historic downtown Wilkesboro, the 1915 offers a wedding experience like no other. Once a federal courthouse and post office, the 1915 combines rich history with timeless charm. From intimate gatherings to full-day rentals, we provide the perfect backdrop for your most cherished moments. With indoor and outdoor options, bridal and groom suites, every detail is crafted just for you. Make your wedding unforgettable at the 1915, Wilkesboro's historic wedding venue, where your story begins.
Closed captions for this episode of Life in Wilkes is brought to you by Deal Insurance Agency in Wilkesboro, an award-winning, experienced, family-owned and operated agency with service and coverage that goes above and beyond expectations. Join us on a captivating journey as we explore the charm, history, and vibrant culture of Wilkes County. Discover the hidden gems, inspiring stories, and remarkable people that make Wilkes a place worth knowing and celebrating. Join us now and experience the unique essence of life in Wilkes.
Good morning, Zach Brewer. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, you too. You know, it's been a hot minute.
It has been. It's been, I don't know, maybe, a couple of years since you sat in that chair?
Probably more. I think back when Sounds and Grounds was going on, that was 2019, actually. So
that has been a long time.
It's been 5 or 6.
But I would see you guys out at, the Thai restaurant, you and your girlfriend at the Thai restaurant. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, isn't that food good?
It's amazing. Probably one of my favorite spots in Wilkes. I'm glad we got a little more exotic food, exotic by Wilkes standards,
Right, sure.
So.
Well, we have some good international flair here as it relates to, things that people are responding well to. The Thai food seems to be something that people are responding really well to. What's the guy's name that does the crepes? Chappie. Chappie, and he's a teacher here. He's a teacher here too. Oh my gosh, those are fantastic.
Those are really good. Have you been to? It's somewhat new. The Papuseria Ebenezer across from Smoot Park.
Oh.
They have some baleadas, the only place in Wilkes that I think you can get baleadas, the Guatemalan or Nicaraguan dish. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
They're getting some good conversation as well. And I think just because of what you described, it's that authentic flavor. So, and we've got more of that spread around the county now than before. But it's because of the population, right? It's because we have more international community represented in Wilkes now, and I think that's a great thing.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, for sure.
And I think the food is an easy introduction, right? Food and, of course, music.
Well, people like to eat,
That's right.
Sure. Yeah.
They like to eat and they like music. That's one of the things that you and I have chatted about over the years is the love of music that you have, but not just like you do. You don't just want to sit and listen to it. Yes, you want to do that, but you want to share it with people and celebrate it. But Zach, that's something that is a family tradition for your people. Right? Your mom and dad have such a wonderful history of supporting the arts and music and helping bring that to the community. So, do you think about that? When you're sitting there with your house shows, and you got people there, some people strangers come into your house to do these house shows, and do you ever think about, mom and dad started this? This is their fault.
I have thought about family history from time to time. I'm blessed to have family who's supportive. I don't think I'd be quite in the same spot in life if it weren't for having great family support. But they come out to my shows and they are the heads. My mom's the executive director of the Carolina Bible Camp Bluegrass Festival. And so, being able to volunteer there, it kind of got my wheels spinning about visiting other music venues with a purpose. Like, hey, I could scope out this bluegrass band, tell my parents what I think about them. And then before them came, my grandparents, Joe and Lily Brewer, and they were big music supporters. And of the arts, my grandpa was involved in the Wilkes Playmakers, and he used to do opera style singing, and my uncle T.R. Bryan, great uncle, who was Lily's brother, he was close to the Kruger brothers, and they do the T.R. Bryan Memorial Festival to kind of kick off Merle Fest in a sense,
Sure.
So,
honoring some of your family.
it's a good gathering. Yeah, I'm blessed to have that for sure.
So you look at this not just as a something that you're doing, but you are mindful, and you are in a sense knowing that you're carrying forward this family tradition.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest. At first, when I started doing it, I don't think I had as much of the mindset of, what the tangential benefits were, But I think as it carried on through the years, I realized, especially when I started doing things in my new home now, just the benefits of communal gathering that I wasn't as thinking about as much before. And so there are just so many other benefits to doing these monthly or bi-monthly events than just like, hey, I've got a show.
Sure. So did it start? I mean, in all fairness, did it start with you're like, I just like a good show. I like to be close to the entertainment, So you bring people to your home, you have an event, then you get to control that, right? You get to be part of that.
That's a big part of controlling things, like in a good way,
Sure.
Because it's in a controlled environment, where it's pretty laid back and relaxed. And you're in a home, so you're more likely to want to say hey to someone as opposed to being at an actual concert hall where even though you see strangers there too, you're not normally going to talk to someone at a loud show.
Right.
And a lot of it, I will admit, before I was doing the house shows, some of that started also with the Kozak family who runs Talia Espresso, when they let me kind of be at the forefront of doing their Sounds and Grounds series, which I was grateful for,
Sure. That's where we first met, I think. Right?
Yeah, man.
I was visiting town, and I think Kathy said, Carl, you should come to this music thing that Zach's doing, and I said, who's Zach? What's he doing? Kind of thing. And she told me, I said, oh, it sounds great. And I did. I showed up for that. And I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. It was a good time.
It was. I mean, you were there, and that also was the time when Dale and Michelle Isom were, really working on that notion of pushing music, the concept of music out in the community and having more stages for performances. And Dale and I were talking not long ago. I said, well, because I remember those early conversations where I said, what is your objective? Why are you doing this? And he says, well, we really need more places for people to go and enjoy music. And now there's a lot. So I said, well, I guess those seeds grew up real nicely because there's stages all over the county now. And that's fantastic. But that intimate experience is still a special thing.
Yeah.
So when you have people in your home, how many, what's your max?
Oh, well, it varies, I mean, with concerts, especially house shows in a place like Wilkes where, it's not as populated as, say, you might do a house show in Winston or Charlotte,
Sure.
I never know what the crowd size is going to be, even if the Facebook response looks great.
Right.
I've had, the biggest show I ever had was, you might have interviewed him, Charles Walker.
Oh, sure.
I think, yeah.
I think so.
He had a college following up in Boone, but now he's moved to Nashville. He did his going away show at my new place, excuse me, at the Judge Hayes home. And he had people drive down from Boone. There were, I want to say, maybe 2 or 3 people who flew in from Texas.
Wow.
And we had maybe 50 to 60 people. It was pretty great.
That was snug, though, right?
It was snug. And then, I've had other great crowds of 30, 40, 40 some, for the Kruger brothers and David Childers and Songwriters Round. And then I've had awkwardly as low as 15 or less.
Right.
So then it becomes an extremely intimate show.
Yes.
At that point.
That's right. That's right. So having these experiences it's you're not just bringing people to your home, to the area, who are playing bluegrass music or who are playing, country. I mean, there are sounds that you would see on a lot of stages in town. You're bringing some soul music. You're bringing different people from different countries, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out, and I want to do that more. I really enjoy supporting bluegrass and other, you could say, Appalachian style roots music like Americana folk.
Sure.
And it's easy to book a lot of that because that really, I believe, is what many house shows like mine do. But I do like to try to get other genres. And so having soul artists like Destiny Stone, she was great. Jason Jett, he does sound for Erykah Badu, and so the fact that he even agreed to come to my place was just like awesome. And
Jason's great. I mean, he has that great new studio in Charlotte.
Grindhouse.
Yeah,
man, he's had some cool people.
Yeah, that's right.
There's some people that go through there. There's some ones to watch for sure.
I've interviewed him before.
Oh,
I
really?
really like him. He's
Nice
just a
dude.
super nice guy.
He and his wife are a genuine power couple. So,
Yeah.
and some international artists. Sophia Talvik from Sweden. She does, I would say, regular tours through the U.S. when she flies over. She and her husband drive around in a cool camper they call Little, I can't remember their name. It's a cool name that they name their camper.
And they're from where?
She's from Sweden. And so she'll do mostly kind of folk Americana songs in English, but then she'll also do some traditional Swedish
Nice.
folk singing. And then I've had some Latin groups, Argentinian folk duo, Siempre Puente. I have a Maritzaida who does Puerto Rican bolero music. So having other cultural stuff, not just our cultural stuff, with the banjo.
That global sound.
Yeah.
But here's something that's interested in the flavors that you've talked about. There, even though they may be from other countries, it's still the sound of that area, right? The sound of that country. Even if it is jazz or blues, it represents a space. It represents a feeling that maybe that's why it resonates with so many people.
Yeah, I think so.
It makes you happy, and you're putting on the shows.
Oh yeah, I love seeing people gather and seeing like people I don't know just smile and have a good time.
Right. Now, what do your mom and dad think? Because, of course, with their background in music and how the things that they have supported publicly and putting the Bible Camp Festival on, which is incredible, right? Mm-hmm. That's a great event. And how they supported, I guess, Merle Fest early on in Wilkes County. So bringing these other sounds in, so I'm sure they attend a lot of your events, if not all of them. So when they're sitting down, have they ever said, Zach, that one, don't book them again? Or are they enjoying these sounds and people as well?
They are enjoying it, and I will say that they have enjoyed some shows more than others.
Of course. But
I'm pleased to know that they did come to my very first hip hop show, and my dad had his hands in the air at one point. He was he was genuinely enjoying it. And I've had some other acts that normally, my parents might not attend in their free time.
Right.
But just being there, you can appreciate, I think, a good instrumentalist and a good singer, even if it's not maybe the genre you would typically listen to in your car alone.
Sure. What's this done for you as an individual? Because your day job, you're an attorney, you have a sense of responsibility there, of course, on the professional side, and then you do this thing. I have friends that are attorneys and doctors, and they do music things. I don't know, maybe that's the magical outlet, for just let me decompress. Music helps make that happen. Mm-hmm. Usually people are going to events, but you're putting those events on. So when you look at your life, you wake up in the morning or you go to sleep at night, how has music made your life better?
I guess, I mean, I could say in one sense, it makes everyone happy to listen to some of your favorite songs, whether you're driving in a car, working out. But I would say it's given me more of a purpose, especially in the local community here, to provide something, but also it's given me a purpose for some traveling artists. It gives them a little extra space to perform at if it's something that they want to do in touring, providing that space where, hey, they could, make a little money by performing here, but also have a place to lay their head at night.
Sure.
Because I have extra spaces for that. And so it's been really convenient for some touring artists.
So you have created an environment of which you can share your space with people in the community. You're helping traveling performers and artists, but you've also uniquely positioned yourself to where they're able to stay with you, and then you really get to know them, right? I mean, the more it's different, when you wake up in the morning, you go down and have your coffee, with yourself or yourself and your friend, and then having the musicians that just perform, wow, they put on a great show, and so you're able to have conversations, just maybe not about music, but just about life. So it does open an opportunity up for you to truly be that person of hospitality.
Oh yeah,
for a traveler, and I think that's powerful. But what is that value for you?
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's just a cool experience to think like, hey, I've got like friends, family, and strangers all at a show at my house tonight. And then, now these artists are hanging out after the show, talking with people, having a glass of wine, and then wake up the next day and it's like, hey, bye guys.
They're still there.
Safe,
All right.
Some I think, it can feel kind of like, and to some degree, it's always like, a business relationship, even though it's not really a business because, I don't.
Of course.
It's not something I ever anticipate will be a money-making venture, but artists are there to earn a living, but also, there are some artists that come through where, it feels like they're, actually becoming, you're kind of like friends,
Exactly. That's what I mean.
So I really enjoy that aspect because certain artists just have that vibe about them. Like the ladies from Thunder and Rain are really sweet. And then all the people in Florencia and The Feeling, they're just great, good, solid people. And I could count others, but yeah, being able to open up that space and help people makes in that way, because they don't have to have a hotel room or
sure
Airbnb. So
is that enriching I can see the benefit for them, but is that also enriching to your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to, provide something, help someone else out in some ways, even if it's small. But I mean, a lot of people have done things for me throughout my lifetime. So if I can provide a cool little space for someone and give them a comfortable bed instead of a air mattress or a couch,
Sure. That's a good thing, right?
That's cool.
All right, so let's talk about the value that you have heard from the people who come to your shows, come to your house shows. I would imagine you have a lot of repeats, right? People who come to a lot, but then there'll be new people showing up.
Yeah, I have had some repeats. There's this one sweet couple. They were from Taylorsville. They saw a poster of mine at Cagney's and came out, and then they came out again. So they, chose to have their date night at some dude's house in Wilkesboro, which is, I take as a compliment.
Right.
But just seeing other local folks enjoy it.
In that intimate environment, I think that's what's unique about it, because it's not a big stage. And it's not something that you feel, I don't want to say you don't feel crowded, because if you got 50 in the house, you may feel crowded, but it's still that more intimate experience. It's almost like jazz. Jazz is better in a small room.
That's a really good comparison. You could, to maybe some degree, equate it to a small jazz club, because those are, if you've ever, I wish it were still open. It was in Raleigh. Sea Grace was a phenomenal, really cool underground jazz. And I mean underground as in you went downstairs, not underground jazz,
No grunge jazz.
No, not dark jazz. It was just good atmosphere is what I meant by that.
Yeah, sure. You've traveled a lot and discovering music, haven't you? That's been part of your passion as well?
Yeah, I've put some miles on my vehicle on the weekends for sure. It's became one of my passions really in college, when I first was able to kind of go out and experience more music venues, I decided to explore more spaces like that. I went to college in DC, so going to the 930 Club, the Black Cat, and then I just kind of carried that on into school. And then now, so on weekends, I might, since we're in Wilkes, I might primarily visit Winston or Boone, since we're in between those, and those have little music scenes. So I'll be at some space often in one of those areas.
So it's not it's not an odd thing for you to wake up in the morning and look at the time and say, oh, I need to get ready and get on the road, because I've got 2 or 3 stops I'm going to make tonight, and I've got to get there.
Oh, well, I would not say I'm that punctual when it comes to going out to shows. Normally they're later in the evening. So,
okay.
But they're a great night for me is if I can be in Boone or Winston or Charlotte, and I could say, hey, I went to like 3 or 4 different venues all in one night, and I saw a bunch of great acts. And,
Where's your favorite place in Charlotte?
Oh man, I would highly suggest that everyone go visit the Evening Muse, because
up in Nodal, right?
Yeah. Oh, so you've been there?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
sure. Evening Muse is great.
Yeah, the people that run it are kind, and the space is so intimate. I would say it's comparable to, if you like small house shows, then go to the Evening Muse, and you never know.
Exactly. It feels exactly like that.
And you never know who, you might see there that's going to keep getting bigger, because Sierra Farrell, I actually saw her there in July of 2019 before now she's huge. She's never going to play there again unless tickets are maybe $200 or something. But, and then Brittany, I can't remember her last name. She played at Merle Fest, great country artist. So Brittany Spencer, yes, she was there at Evening Muse. I mean,
there's a group out of, seems like they live in Durham or in the Raleigh area, and I saw them at the Evening Muse. Orange something. Mandolin Orange. That's right.
You saw them at the Evening Muse?
I saw them at the Evening Muse.
What year was that?
Oh my gosh,
that was
that was probably, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, I guess.
Oh wow!
Earlier on in their career. Oh yeah, they were fantastic.
Cool.
We have they had a new pressed album, because of CDs, but it was that time of where albums had gone away and you had CDs, but then it was starting to come back, as a promotional item or so. Yeah. And so we have that collection. I think it's when Jared was doing some work with us on Life in the Carolinas, and I think we were working on some stories there. And I got a call from the people at the Evening Muse, said, "You want to come over?" And I said, "Who's playing?" They said, and I said, "Yeah, I want to hear them." That's good. That's good. Well, we do that Carolina Theater Trail show, and because of those segments with Life in the Carolinas, we go to a lot of theaters. So I spend, even without cameras, just going to get a feel for the place, and I like that. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of research I approve of wholeheartedly.
Oh yeah,
but Mandolin Orange, they were great, and it was the type of group that back then, I don't know, they weren't on my playlist, but they were after that. They're just such good people too.
And you saw them before the name change, so that's cool to watch house. And so I caught them at Legends in Boone, which they don't seem to be booking as many big acts as they used to. They've had some big or well-known names come through there,
Right.
and I caught them there when they were Mandolin Orange.
Right.
So,
Well,
yeah.
we like them for sure. So that's a
Cool.
good thing. And then there were other groups, when, years ago, there was what was it? It was a big festival that was in Boone. And, geez.
It's not the new one, Boonerang.
No, this was before that.
I'm not sure what that would have been.
I mean, it would have been every free spirit
Yeah.
person that would come there. And I just met some, Mama's Big Fat Booty Band.
I know the name. I think it played at Merle Fest. Maybe.
Oh, they did. They absolutely did. That was the same. I think first the Carolina Chocolate Drops, who we had done stories with in Charlotte. Dom Flemings was with them, and
Yep.
everybody was growing up, and they all split off to do their things. And Dom's done incredible things. Of course.
he's
just a wonderful.
cool.
He and his wife are just great
Yeah.
people.
Mm-hmm.
But those, for whatever reason, we actually were filming up there at that festival. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. It's been a long time ago, but those guys were just, so excited to be in front of the camera, extremely friendly. And everywhere we would move, that one of them or their agent would be following and say, "Oh, but have them tell you this story," kind of a thing. But they were great people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. A lot of artists are really down to earth.
Yeah. Taking time to get to know people, and I think that happens more in an intimate environment. If it's a big stage, and a lot of the people, you've got people that play in your house. My goodness, they play on big stages, right?
Yeah.
So to have that intimate experience, it is extra special.
It is, especially when I was not expecting all of the Kruger brothers to actually show up. Well, it was just a treasure in and of itself to actually have Jonah Horton and Jens Kruger even agree to come.
Right.
And then I found out 1 or 2 days before the show, Jonah messaged me and said, "Hey, I think the other two are going to sit in later in the show." I thought, oh man, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, you can't, it's hard to put a price on, that level of intimate concert with
someone that's so excellent at something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I do think that's the interesting things about Jens and Uwe and Joel and that history. But years ago, I had my first interview with Jens, and we're talking about their history and their, what it was like growing up for them and how they first started playing music. So being at your home show would be very similar, to audience sizes, that intimate experience that they would have, even as they were younger guys, even playing on the street, just getting their chops developed, and of course, Jens and Uwe, they've both taken it to a whole nother level now of performance. But we all are who we are, at heart. So.
Oh, they're really great people. And
yeah.
I mean, Jens, I think he's like the best banjo player in the world. And, we get to
certainly considered.
We get to claim them as Wilkes Countyans.
Yeah. There are a lot of really well-known musicians that are in Wilkes County. A lot of session guys, that live in Wilkes, and
Billy G.
Billy G's one of them.
Yeah, he's come out. He actually came out to one of my shows, and I consider that an honor. If another musician actually takes time to come to the same place where I eat my takeout food and watch Netflix.
Sure,
that's a good compliment. So,
and he's a good person too. I mean, Brooke and Darren, that he plays with. My goodness, they've just made such a great headway in the world of bluegrass and their versions of it, and being when they're on stage, at the Grand Ole Opry, which is often now, then Billy G's right there. Because he's part of that group. So having those experiences it is a show. It is a show. But you do feel a little different when the audience is that large in such an iconic place, right?
Yeah.
And then they play at your house too.
Yeah, there are some. I could say the Kruger Brothers definitely, and then there've been Kruger Brothers for sure. They've played around the world, big stages, and I'm blessed that they came. And there's a girl, I'd love for you to check her out, a very talented lady, Kels. She's from, I think, the Philly area, but now based in Atlanta, and she's gained a steady grassroots following.
What's her name?
Kels, Kels.
Okay.
And she's vocally, you could say she's similar to Amy Winehouse, but I'd say less of a jazz vibe, more of a R&B soul influence. And she was one of the opening groups, I believe, at a jazz festival for Andre 3000, who was, maybe you know, part of the famous rap group Outkast.
I know who you're talking about, sure.
And so she started out, by the time she came to my place, she had maybe somewhere between 9 and 12,000 followers, and now she's got like 50, 60, and just to see her growth is really, really neat.
So do you, so when people play at your house, do you then keep up with them? Are you following? Are you, calling, texting? Hey, how you doing?
I'll maybe follow them on Instagram, but there aren't many artists that I really stay in touch with, except some have become friends. Liam Pendergrass, he's a great guy. He's going to be at my Songwriters Round show. And he and his girlfriend have come to a couple of my shows, and the ladies from Thunder and Rain, they're really sweet. I've caught one of their shows at the Evening Muse. And so people like that, I might stay in touch with some, but not everybody.
No, of course not. Well, you only have a social calendar so large, right? You can only do so much. So you and your sweetheart, does she travel with you to most of these shows?
Yes, willingly or not, I guess. We'll go to some great events on the weekends at times.
Right.
And
does she enjoy it as much as you do, or?
I would say, yeah. Well, certain shows, maybe not as much.
Right.
But she 100% enjoys going out to shows. That's become, I think, a fun thing for her, which she enjoyed going to shows in the past. But I think more so with me, maybe it's become kind of a lifestyle thing too.
Right.
And she, one of her favorite places that I've taken her to is, and I'd also highly suggest you all visit, Middle C Jazz Club in Uptown Charlotte.
Okay.
They have some phenomenal acts. We've caught Cy Smith there a couple times. She's phenomenal. And so I've enjoyed taking her there. And
well, good. Well, that says a lot because she's a smart lady. She's
extremely smart.
She's does that a little intimidating for you?
No, man,
Did it help? It helps level the ship?
Well, she's extremely smart. She has a wealth of medical knowledge, and, I trust her if there's someone maybe at, church who has a medical or health question. I'm like, hey, talk to Keisha.
Talk to the doctor.
And she's advised me on when I had a torn meniscus, she was like, hey, don't go to physical therapy. Go get an MRI first,
Right.
And she was right, man.
An ounce of caution, right?
You gotta listen to your lady.
Yeah. There you go. Well, you need to keep that in mind. Don't aggravate her. So, well, that's great. Well, listen, Zach, this has been great catching up with you, and
you too.
it's been a few longer than I thought, evidently. So we'll catch up again maybe later on in the year, and so you work on some more great house shows and have some more stories. And I think this is an important conversation because it speaks to the music culture and sharing nature in Wilkes County. And historically, these stories that you've shared about opening your home up for musicians. I mean, your mom and dad did that, right? They've helped musicians as they would come in and travel also.
They have had some a couple of house shows I can recall at least. I know they had, I don't know if you recall Andy Eversole from Banjo Earth Band.
Got to know Andy. Yeah, met him at your mom and dad's
yeah,
place. That's right.
They did a show on their back porch, and I know during the height of the pandemic when we had to have socially distanced shows and outings and stuff like that. And you had to have a limited number of people, things like that. They actually had for, I believe, my great uncle's David Wiles' birthday. My dad contacted Will Easter and had him come down and just play just a few songs, and that was fun. And so they've had some other people. Randy Gamble and his crew came to their house one time, and so it's
a family tradition.
Yeah.
They probably didn't have any rappers then, but
no, but maybe one day I need to have some more hip hop back again, I think.
There you go.
So
follow your heart, Zach. Follow your heart.
Yeah, and I think history goes beyond family, and really in the home I'm in now too. Key City Sessions, the name of it, comes from Key City Furniture, and where I was originally doing the shows.
You're breaking the rules there, though. Are you? You're a rebel.
The apartment. Well, actually, it was. They were really sweet about it. I need to admit. But eventually, I think I maybe went outside the bounds of the HOA rules, possibly, but they were extremely kind, and I'm grateful for that. And so to have that as part of North Wilkesboro history is great. And then being in the Judge Hayes home now.
Well, that's an iconic thing to have.
It's great to be in a historical home and just have musicians come through, and then.
So do you pick up the judicial vibes left over from Judge Hayes? Do you sit there sometime and you get this inspiration for some legal thing you're working on? You say, "Wow, that's smart. Where'd that come from?"
Well, I mean, not in any apparition sense, but
I didn't think he might be sitting down for breakfast with you, but
but I mean, not inspiration so much, but I have quite literally picked up memories of Judge Hayes. I went one day into my storage shed and went to there's a second level to it, and I noticed there one day, I'd seen there was a chest there before, but I hadn't gotten a very close look. So I
hadn't opened the chest.
I hadn't opened the chest. So I got a little closer one day and saw that there were these papers in there. Uh-oh. And I started pulling some out. And some, had been damaged by bugs or mice or whatever, because it's an old storage set that I don't use. And so, but some were in good condition. And I pulled them out, and there were all these letters from 100 years ago, correspondence between him and maybe clients or other attorneys when he was an attorney and when he was a judge. And so if you look at certain rooms in my place, you'll see some framed letters and other court documents.
So they came from that treasure case you found.
They did. So and there's some descendants of Judge Hayes, his granddaughter, great-granddaughter, have come to my shows a couple times, and so
looked at the letters.
Yeah, they saw some of the stuff I had there, and they're really sweet. One of his grandkids actually they were really sweet enough to give me a portrait of Judge Hayes, an original portrait that I have in my dining room / concert hall.
Right. And
so, I really want to preserve that Wilkes County history because it's there, and I don't have any intent to change anything in the home unless it's absolutely necessary.
Right.
So
do you imagine 60 years from now, or 80 years? How old are you now?
I'm 36.
So you're 36.
Yes.
Okay.
Mentally 30,
So,
maybe, or 28. I don't know.
we're not doing the mental gauge. So there'll be a time that you've done your duty here, and then somebody else is in the house. So you found papers from the judge, right?
Oh yes.
So what do you hope? This is a long ways off, right? But when those new owners, many years from now, when they go out there and they find your treasure box, and open it, what do you hope that they do with your thing? Do you see it being the same, that they put things around, or is it going to be different?
Oh man, ooh, getting deep here this morning.
No, keep it light. Keep it light.
Well, I hope that someone would have the sense to preserve older architecture as much as possible. Sometimes things have to be renovated,
Sure.
And you can, if you visit my place, you can see what previous owners have renovated, what hasn't been. But I hope that they'll keep things as original as possible. And I want to motivate people, whether it's if I were to have kids or future family or future just community members here,
Sure.
to do house shows, because it's not only like a fun hobby. I could be spending money on, I don't know, off-roading in an ATV somewhere in the forest, spending money on gasoline for a UTV,
Right.
but instead this is what I choose to do, but it benefits other people, and it brings people together, even people who might maybe be shy or have anxiety. I think starting out in a place like that where it's
Right.
not a huge crowd, and you can gather people in the community at least once a month is important, especially when you reach that certain age, late 20s or 30s and onward, where a lot of people are busy with work, they have kids, other responsibilities, and it's harder to get people together sometimes.
Right.
You might have people that call you and they're like, hey, you want to get together? And you're like, oh yeah, sure, that would be great. And then we all just for whatever reason.
So in the future, part of the house passing on to family or whoever, then part of the deal is you've got to do music, but it'll be different. It'll be different then, of course. You have somebody doing live music, and then everybody that can't make it out, they'll just watch the holograms, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
sure.
great. Zach, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, you too, man.
You take care, and
appreciate
we'll get together before long.
Yeah, well, come out to my next show,
Yeah. Let me
too
know.
can-
Let me know when you got some jazz, okay?
Jazz, yes.
Yeah.
I will eventually get jazz again. I've had it before, so I'll
Yeah.
get it again.
I'll be patient.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Thanks,
you.
Zach.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Say hi to your mom and dad.
I will.
Thank you for spending time with us on Life in Wilkes. We value you as a viewer and appreciate when you share the show with your friends and family. Be sure to bookmark our channel and join us again on the next episode of Life in Wilkes.